Welcome, everyone, to the Better Love Movement podcast, where you will finally learn how to intentionally do dating and relationships right. My name is Anita Stoudemire, and I'm a licensed professional therapist and your personal love mentor. I've worked with thousands of singles and couples, giving them the skills needed to attract and keep the amazing love they desire. It's my heart's work to help people to get the skills needed to not only become the very best versions of themselves, but to help them grow and evolve emotionally and relationally. You can absolutely have the romantic relationship of your dreams. Come and let me show you how. Hey everybody, it's Anita with Better Love Movement, and I am back again with another podcast episode this week. We are in episode 84, and it is entitled, What About Those Yellow Flags? This is a topic that does not get enough attention. Even when I was doing some research for this topic, I really didn't see a whole lot of articles or blog posts or videos about yellow flags. I found a few, but not as many as I would had I searched for red flags. People love talking about the red flags and what you need to be looking out for to kind of stop going forward with a person when it comes to dating or relationships. But believe it or not, there are a lot of yellow flags that come first. So it's just like when you are going through a green light and that green light then turns to yellow and then it turns to red. So we don't give enough attention to yellow flags. And what does a yellow flag mean? Well, it means proceed with caution. So I am going to give you some yellow flags, and they're not necessarily red flags, but they are a signal to you to become very curious, number one, and number two, to observe. To observe. Don't just listen or get swept away with how you feel. Watch and observe that person. And most importantly, look for patterns. That's what yellow flags to me mean. They let me know, okay, so now I need to watch for patterns of this behavior. Then it would become a red flag. That's how something in yellow flag territory could become a red flag. So we've got to watch for patterns. If we see that behavior the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, then we have a pattern on our hands and we need to probably leave that alone. So we're going to talk a little bit about yellow flags today. I'm going to give you some of mine and then I'm just going to give you some yellow flags in general. But here's what I'll say about this. There are some of these that some people would qualify as red flags. And so I agree. It's going to depend on the person. It's going to depend on the person if this is a yellow flag or not. So you're going to use your best judgment, but these are a few of mine. These are things that make me get really curious about the person sitting in front of me. And then I watch for patterns. And if I see those patterns repeating, then I know, then it turns into a red flag. I don't go any further. I let the person know, hey, you seem like a really great person. It's just, I don't think we're the best fit for each other. And so that is the feminine way to let a man know that you don't wish to go any further. You are not going to blame or shame. You're not going to use that, good old line, it's not you, it's me. No, you're going to say, we are just not a good fit for each other. And if the person continues to push, and want more specifics, well, depending on who you are as a feminine, I mean, for me, I give him those very specific reasons. And then if he continues to push or he continues to try to convince me, then I drop, kind of my final My final straw is, it's really a turnoff to me when a man doesn't know how to take my no. And that's what's happening. You're not able to take my no. No, thank you. And you are pushing back on that. And that is the ultimate turnoff. Ladies, that is the test. You are going to, in some way, shape, or form, tell a man no. And if he does not accept your no, if he pushes back and you very politely say, no, really, I'm good, thank you, no, thank you, or however, whatever it is you're saying no to, if he continues to push and push, there's some issues and concerns there. That to me is a red flag if a man will not accept your no. So be mindful of that. I always encourage women, you're going to use that. You're going to use that as a test, quite frankly. You're going to, in some way, shape, or form, tell a man no, and you want to see how he responds to that. So let's jump in. One of my yellow flags is cell phone use. So depending on how often he's using his cell phone, how often he's looking at it, how often he's taking calls, especially if he's on a date or he's trying to get to know me, is his phone up on the table? Is it down? Is he in his phone a lot? Is he taking calls? Is he texting? That's a yellow flag to me. I kind of observe that behavior and see if this is something, if there's a pattern there. I'm real funny about the phone and the cell phone use, and outside of him needing to use his phone for business, I have very low toleration for a lot of phone use, because to me it's just a signal that this is something that's going to come between me and this person. And how addicted are they to their phone, to social media, or whatever's on their phone? So if a man is on a date and he's using his phone a lot, if he's taking calls, if he's looking at his phone, if he's texting, it's a yellow flag. I just observe it and I say, that's interesting. And I don't even speak on it. It's just something that I notice, and then I continue to observe. But if I find that it's excessive for me, then it then becomes a red flag. I don't move any further, and I kind of know, this is something that, I don't personally like, and I'm probably not going to grow to like. So this person probably isn't the best fit for me. So that is one of mine. Another one that I believe should be everyone's yellow flag, but is definitely one of mine, is talking about an ex. And dare I say it, so whether the talk about the ex is good or bad, I believe any conversation about the ex, especially if it's on the first or second date or interaction, is a yellow flag. It's just, again, I'm observing, I'm just seeing how often this happens. I'm kind of on the fence about if the talk is good or if the talk is bad. I think if the talk is bad and I notice a shift in the person's countenance, that definitely is a yellow flag to me. That signifies there's still emotion there. There's still feeling there. There is a famous quote that says something about, and I can't remember which psychologist it came from, but it said, people don't talk about what they don't feel or what they're not thinking about. So in other words, if it's not in your heart or your head, it probably won't come out of your mouth. And yes, if a person is talking about an ex, good or bad, it's something that came to their mind, came to their thought, or is still in their heart. And so they are speaking on it. And things that are not in our mind or in our heart, we're indifferent to. We don't normally talk about, and definitely talk about over and over and over. So that is definitely a sign to be cautious, that there's something there. This ex is on their thoughts or on their heart, and that came up. And so please pay attention. I have made some horrible mistakes in this area. In my past, I was very curious, quite frankly. I would engage a man to talk about his ex because of my curiosity. And I would engage in this talk. I would ask questions. I would almost encourage this type of talk because I was curious. And that was definitely a bad idea. I have since learned from doing that. I've learned from those experiences, and I don't talk about my ex or any of my exes, and I don't um like to talk about his exes. I don't ask questions about it. I make a point to avoid that altogether. And ladies, I believe men will attempt to bait you. That's a question that they will bait you with to see if you will talk about your ex, and it gives them a door open to talk about their ex. So here is the feminine response if a man ever asks you about your last relationship or your ex-husband. Let's say you were married and you had children and you say, oh, I'm divorced and, I have 2 great kids. Oh, really? So, tell me what caused the end of your marriage, or, what did your ex do? They might even say it in a funny way to try to bait you to talk about that. And I want you to say something along the lines of, "Oh, it's such a long, boring story. The good news is it's over. The good news is I'm sitting here with you now. My company has changed for the better." You want to say things of that nature. You do not want to get on that hook, because all it will do is open the door to you both commiserating about your exes. And that should not happen, not on a first date, a first phone call. That shouldn't be happening. And here's the thing, it's not that you can never talk about your ex. That is something that I want you to reserve for when you have known each other a little longer, gotten to know each other a little better. Sure, there'll be room here and there to find out information about an ex-wife, an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or ex-husband, but not initially. That's not something you're going to talk about initially. So that's a yellow flag. If that's brought up on a first date, in a first phone call, pay attention, and pay attention to if that continues to come up, if that's like a continued topic of conversation. Then, in my opinion, it becomes a red flag. Definitely if the man brings up his ex and his demeanor changes, he becomes angry or frustrated, and he is, talking bad about his ex and what she did and blaming his ex. Oh, that definitely, you want to watch for patterns. And that's really teetering on the line of red flag. But any type of, blaming, angry, calling her names, you got to really be cautious about that. Because if a man is comfortable doing that with you in the first exchange on the phone or the first date, just keep that in mind. I mean, he's supposed to be on his best behavior, and yet he's on a first date and he is berating his ex and calling her names and talking about all the horrible things she did. Wow. That's to me, that's very serious. So be mindful of that. Do not bait him. Do not engage with him about exes. Do not talk about your ex. If he tries to get you to talk about your ex, remember, the feminine response is, oh, that was such a long time ago. Thankfully it's over and I'm here now with you. Or, you're just going to, divert away from that question. You're just not even going to go there. And if this winds up being something serious, at some point you will talk again about what caused your last relationship to end. Why didn't it work out? And that's a more appropriate time to talk about that, not in the first or second or third date. That's too soon. So that's a yellow flag for sure. But I've been guilty of that. My curiosity, I'm a people watcher and just a people person. And so I'm always curious to hear people's stories. I think that's part of also being a therapist. I'm really curious about people's stories. And I do get information from people when they're telling their stories. But now, I have definitely learned I don't do that. I don't engage men about any talk about their exes, ex-wives, ex-girlfriends. And if they bring it up, and they try to just continue to talk about that, I usually, in my most feminine way, say, it really makes me uncomfortable when you talk about other women. I kind of call them out on it. Like, this isn't a comfortable conversation. And you're here on a date with me, and yet you're talking at length about another woman. That doesn't feel good. So you can say that. You can very directly but sweetly say, it just makes me uncomfortable to be out on a date with someone and they're talking about another woman. What do you think about that? And usually that shuts it down right away. You kind of pulled his coattail and he's like, "Ooh, I shouldn't have said that." And then that shuts it down. But that's what you want. That's what you want. You don't want to listen to a man you're interested in talking to you at length about another woman. That can't feel good. It doesn't. So don't go there. Don't go there with your ex either. There'll be time, plenty of time for you to talk about that and what happened. You'll have plenty of time for that, but not in those first initial interactions. Don't do it. Okay, the next one, again, controversial because some women have said, oh, it's a red flag. That's it. I'm done. I'm never going out with him again. And that is if a man asks you to split the bill, if a man says he forgot his wallet, or just appears cheap. Like if he appears cheap, you're out on a date and he's talking about the price of things or talking about the price of what you ordered, talking about the tip or not tipping. This is definitely a yellow flag. I wouldn't say, oh, shut it down, don't ever go out with him again. Again, I would say, get curious, kind of find out what this is about. Try to watch for patterns and figure out what's going on in that situation. But some women would say that one is a red flag. Like if a man asks them out on a date and then insinuates that he wants to split the bill, that's kind of a deal breaker for them. But I would say, just get curious about that. Be very curious about that. And again, in my sweetest, most feminine voice, I'd say, I really was looking forward to being treated. And I guess that was my expectation when you asked me out, that this was something that you were going to provide. You were going to treat me to a nice dinner, or you're going to treat me to coffee, or you're going to treat me to whatever, breakfast, whatever it is. You can say that. Again, I am pretty assertive in the language that I use. I just make sure that it's soft and sweet and feminine, but it's direct. It's direct. And so I'll say, oh, I really was under the assumption that this was a treat, that you were going to take me out to dinner and you were going to treat. And, I guess that's not the case. And then I would just get very curious. Because if this person moving forward is not very generous, is cheap, and sees your relationship from the start as kind of a 50-50 thing, yes, that's definitely a deal breaker for me. I like a masculine energy man. I like to be the girl, and that just wouldn't work for me. So, but the first time, I would see it as a yellow flag, and then I would kind of see moving forward. I would observe. I would kind of figure out, okay, is this a theme? Is this something that maybe he used this on me the first date to test me, to see? I don't know. But I would, just observe. I would pay attention to that and see if I saw any patterns. Okay. The next one I would say is him being indecisive or inconsistent. And this one you're going to find out sooner rather than later. So let's say indecisive, as in you all are trying to go on a first date and you are leaving it to him to plan what you all will do, where you'll go. And you're like, okay, well, just let me know what you'd like to do. Where do you like to go? And I could meet you there, or, whatever you decide. if there's a lot of indecisiveness about where to go, what time to go, what day, or when you get there, there's a lot of indecisiveness about what to order, changing the order back and forth, putting the waitress through a lot of rigmarole because, oh, I don't know, I don't know. This is a yellow flag. One of the qualities of a healthy masculine man is he is decisive. He knows what he wants and he makes that known. He makes his needs known. He gets it. He goes for it. He knows what he wants. And so, no, you don't want to be stuck with a chronically indecisive man who can't make up his mind, who's asking you, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Should I do this? Should I do that? No, you want a leader. You want someone who's decisive and someone who has, you know, made definite strides in this area that, good, bad, or indifferent, he makes decisions and he lives with the consequences of those decisions. And he's not looking to you all the time. Like, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? You really want someone who's decisive. So again, this is another one that I want you to pay attention, see if this shows up again. If the indecisiveness in making decisions is big things or little things, pay attention to this, because I know for me, I prefer a very assertive, decisive man who knows what he wants, knows what he likes, knows what he doesn't like, and he moves accordingly. So right behind this is inconsistency. And again, a healthy masculine man is for the most part consistent. If he tells you he's going to do something, he does it. And he does not take not following through on his word lightly. So there was one situation that used to drive me bonkers about a man that I dated, that he would say to me if we were talking on the phone, or if we were talking on the phone and he had to leave to do something, or someone called or something came up, he had a habit of saying, "Let me call you right back." And so, I being the person that I am, I took that to mean you're going to call me right back. And if you did not call me right back, if I did not hear from you till the next day, if I did not hear from you, let's say we were talking in the morning and I did not hear from you until late at night, that to me, that's definitely a yellow flag, because your word doesn't mean anything. And for some men, they don't see that particular statement like, oh, it's no big deal, yeah, I mean, I thought I could call you right back and I couldn't, and what's the big deal? That's a small thing. But for someone like me, that's a big thing. Like, don't say you're going to call me right back if you're unsure about when you're going to call me. Say, hey, can I talk to you later? Or maybe I can catch up with you later. Maybe I can catch up with you tomorrow. Or, hey, I got to get going. I'll catch back up with you. There's got to be a way to say it so that I'm not anticipating you calling me right back. When you say right back, that implies probably within 30 minutes to an hour. That does not imply the next day. That does not imply 8 hours later. When someone says, hey, let me call you right back, it means in a relatively short period of time. So that's one of my pet peeves. I definitely want you to tell me what it most likely is. If you can't call me right back, just say, hey, let me talk to you later. Let me talk to you tomorrow. That's realistic to me. And I know what to do with that. But if you say, hey, let me call you right back, I'm anticipating that you're going to call me right back. I have a busy life too, and I can go on to do other things. But, if I'm anticipating your call, then I'm kind of like, okay, should I leave? Should I stop what I'm doing? What should I do? But if that happens over and over and over, and you're finding the person is not calling you right back, again, the feminine communication way. I've noticed a habit that you have, and it's just something that it just doesn't work for me. It's just something that doesn't make me feel good, because when you say you're going to call me right back, I anticipate that's going to be relatively soon, and it's not. And so maybe there's something else you can say that'll let me know it probably won't be right back. But that's kind of an inconsistency. Or if it's oh, I'm going to come by at a certain time, or I'm going to do something for you, and then that doesn't happen. Again, you're seeing inconsistencies. And I'll take it a step further. You can even see inconsistencies in a man in what he tells you he's going to do for other people, or for his life, or for his goals, or for his dreams. Like, this inconsistency thing goes across the board. His family, his friends, his children. So if he says, yeah, I may be picking my kids up this weekend, or having my kids this weekend, and then the weekend comes and he's like, yeah, I got other things I'm going to be doing. I'm probably not going to get them. You're going to start paying attention to that. Because if you see these inconsistencies in other areas, it's just a matter of time before that's what's happening to you. That's what he'll be doing to you. So if he says, yeah, I'm supposed to be working a few hours late tonight at work, and then he winds up getting out of it. Well, I got out of it. I told them I was going to work, but I'm not. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to go head home, or I'm going to go to the gym. Okay, your word really doesn't mean anything. And it's just a matter of time before I feel the brunt of that. So you got to really, inconsistency, especially, more than once, twice, three times, be aware of that. That's something that's going to bite you in the end. Okay. All right. Here's another one. Poor or no relationship with his mother or father or family members. This is a yellow flag. Again, proceed with caution. This man's first caregivers, okay? These are the people who taught him all about relationships, all about getting along with others. If his relationship with them is poor or non-existent, if his relationship with his mother is poor or non-existent, his father, his brothers and sisters, his other family members, proceed with caution. Observe. Okay, you really want to listen and watch and see why that is. And you can do this without prying. Like, you can do this without prying. I don't encourage you to pry and ask a bunch of questions, but you're just going to observe. You're going to observe why that is. There could honestly be a legitimate reason why there is a poor or no relationship with them. There could be some serious stuff going on, and he's actually a healthy man who has decided to set strong boundaries. And, I am of the school of thought that just because you are blood related to a person doesn't mean you have to continue to be in relationship with them if they're toxic. If they continue to hurt you, if they're toxic, no. Blood relation, no. That does not give you the right to abuse me. So he may be a very healthy man if these people are in fact toxic. If his mother's alcoholic or narcissistic, or if his father has addictions, then okay, I get it. You have decided that no, these people, still have toxic ways. I had to grow up with that. I'm now in a better place. I've done the work. I've gotten therapy, and I can't have an active relationship with them and stay healthy and whole. I get it. I get it, and I love it. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And as long as work has been done in that area and he continues to grow and do his work, then I think it's totally fine. But you've got to observe. Remember, we're proceeding with caution. Now, if we find out that the family is fine and they are loving, and, all families have their stuff, but for the most part, and he's just, I just don't talk to them. I don't talk to them because now I'm in a different station in life and they embarrass me. I come from a poor family and I have, 2 degrees, and now I have a business and make plenty of money, and just, I don't go back home. I don't have anything to do with them because they embarrass me. No, not that. That's not okay. That's not acceptable. So pay attention to all of this. Again, we're talking yellow flags. Okay, let's see. Another one is if he has not had many long-term relationships, and I consider anything over a year, that's a longer term, really not long, but that to me is a relationship. If he has dated and been involved with someone for a year or more, but if he's had none of that, and I also dated a man who told me, and he was not a young man. He was 45. And he said, "Oh, I don't believe I've ever been in love." I think that's a yellow flag. That 45 and you have never been in love with someone, not one person? Yeah, that proceed with caution, ladies. Because a lot of us will take that to mean like a challenge. Like, okay, I'm going to make him fall in love with me, or he's going to fall in love with me. I'm so amazing and I'm wonderful. And so I'm going to be the first. Or if he has not had any long-term relationships, oh, well, I'm going to be the first. He's going to have a long-term relationship with me. He's going to marry me. That's not likely, and I'm not saying you're not all that. I'm not saying you're not fabulous and beautiful and amazing. But, if he has had a pattern of these short trysts or these friends with benefits or whatever, and none of them have lasted very long, chances are it's him. It's something going on in him. And because I teach from the rule and not the exception, there's a very strong chance the same thing is going to happen with you. So I don't want to see you fall prey to that. I don't want to see you fall prey to this guy who, yes, you're another 3 month, 6 month relationship or situationship or whatever. No. You are looking for your long-term partner. You're looking for your husband. You're looking for your forever. So, yeah, if you hear a man, and I mean, he could be a very attractive man, have all his ducks in a row, but if he says, yeah, I don't think I've ever been in love before, or, yeah, I don't think I've ever had a relationship kind of over a year, that's a yellow flag. And I would definitely proceed with caution because it's very unlikely you're going to be the person, that he's just going to fall in love, madly in love with and settle down with. Okay. All right, I would just proceed with caution. Okay, if he is paranoid or distrustful or pessimistic, okay, and you know the guys I'm talking about. I've dated some of these men where, just for no reason, they're distrustful or they're full of conspiracy theory about everything. Or they're just pessimistic, right? They're just negative. Please proceed with caution. Now, the reason why I created a yellow flag for this, because I understand that, you know, people will go out on dates or they'll have phone conversations, and depending on what's going on in their world, you may catch them on a day where they may be one of these things, right? And that is maybe not the norm. So that's why I call it a yellow flag. Because again, I want you to have another conversation, go on another date. If you see a pattern. So if every date he is distrustful or pessimistic, if every phone conversation he's paranoid, he's talking about conspiracy theory, be aware of that. That is definitely a yellow flag that can become a red flag. So, but yes, we all have our weird days, bad days. I have them too. I'll have a pessimistic day, but thankfully it's just a day. And if a person met me or went out with me on that day, and let's say they called me the next day, I'm Susie Sunshine again. Like I'm good. I'm like, yeah, the world's great. Everything is great. All is well. But yeah, we all have those days where either something has happened, and it has just created this negative thing in us. And then, the person kind of meets us on that day and that's their snapshot. So I put that under the yellow flags because, that's everybody. Everybody can have a bad day. So what we're looking for is patterns if we're seeing this over and over and over. All right. And then what else I got on here? Ooh, If he has no real hobbies or interests, he's not passionate about anything, or has no real purpose, I would consider that a yellow flag. And I have definitely dated a man that there were things he enjoyed doing, but he definitely didn't have any passion or purpose in life. It was almost like he was doing these things, it was just a habit. It was just a thing that he did, over and over. But there really was no passion in it or no purpose in it. But he just did it. He just did it because he was like, on this night I do this, and on this morning I do this. And it was just like he was stuck in this pattern, this cycle. But I didn't get the feeling that there was any real passion or purpose to it. So again, it's a yellow flag. I want you to just observe and watch and see what that is about. But I notice a lot of people who operate like that are stuck, and they're just stuck. They're not growing, they're not learning, they're not doing anything new or different. They're not excited about what they're doing, but they're doing it just over and over and over. And you'll get drawn into those patterns, and then before you know it, you'll be in a stuck relationship where he'll be doing these things with you, and then there's really nothing different. It's just kind of the same thing, different day. So be mindful of that as well. And then lastly, and I could go on, I could put more on here, but this is the last one. I'm going to say, if a man is just moving too quickly. So if you're getting the impression that he's love bombing you, all the compliments, if he's buying gifts after the first date, especially if those gifts are expensive, if he is just calling all the time, texting all the time, just doing a lot in a little bit of time, that's a yellow flag. Like, be mindful of that, because the truth of the matter is, you don't know me. Like, you don't know me. If you're talking about, oh, I'm your future wife on the second date, and I'm going to be the mother of your children, and I'm so great, I'm so amazing, and oh, yeah, you don't know me. You don't know me, and I don't know you. And oh, if a man asks you to be exclusive after 2 or 3 dates, that's a yellow flag. Like, what? You don't know me. I don't know you well enough to know if I want to be exclusive with you. I mean, I find you interesting, or I may have chemistry with you and find you attractive, but I don't know you well enough. I mean, 2 or 3 dates, really? If you become exclusive with a man in 2 or 3 dates and he winds up being crazy, or he has all these deep, dark secrets that you don't know about. No, I need to get to know you better. And it's not to say I'm going to know everything about you in a few months, but I'm hoping that if those deep, dark secrets are there, they're going to come out, or if you're crazy, that's going to pop out. You're not going to be able to wear your mask but for so long. But 2 or 3 dates for a man to say, yes, I'm crazy about you and I just want to see you. I want you to just see me. I don't know you. And I'm not going to base exclusivity off of a feeling. I'm not going to base being your girlfriend off of chemistry. That's not smart. And remember, we're doing this thing differently. We're not basing it solely off of a feeling. We're not basing it solely off of we have chemistry. We're attracted to each other, because that's not enough. Chemistry is not enough. Love is not enough. We need things other than love and chemistry and the feelings and all of that and the passion. We need more than that to have a healthy, whole, happy relationship. So walk through these steps, take your time. But if a man attempts to rush you, and I can't remember who it was that said, in the beginning of a relationship, the man has his foot on the gas, the woman should have her foot on the brake. Because after they sleep together, or after time passes, the woman will put her foot on the gas and the man will put his foot on the brake. Those things will swap. So be mindful of that. For me, I like to keep my foot, slowly on the brake. the whole time because I'm not sleeping with you. I'm getting to know you. I'm seeing if we have the potential to be a good fit for each other. And then I'm seeing if we have the same goals for each other. So, my goal being marriage, and if your goal is marriage. If it's not, then I guess we're done. But keep your foot slightly on the brake, because a man's foot will be on the gas. And his intention is to get as much as he can by paying as little as possible or giving as little as possible. Remember that. A man's going to want to get as much as he can while giving as little as possible. And so, you get to determine that. It's just like you get to determine your price or your worth. And so if that's the price in your mind, that's the price. So that's what he's got to pay if he wants to get what it is he wants to get. So I shared some of these things. I want you to tell me what you think about this. If you're listening on YouTube, please put in the comments if you have any additional yellow flags you want to add, but tell me what you think about this list. There are more. I could definitely give you more, but then I'd be talking all night and I don't want to do that. So I just wanted to give you a few, but if you have some you'd like to add, please put it in the comments or let me know what you think about some of the yellow flags that I shared, and let's have a conversation about this. Okay. Lastly, I want to talk with you a little bit about the codependency recovery coaching call. It is going to start on July 1st. That is a Wednesday at 8:00 p.m. And you can click the link below if you're on YouTube, or if you're in the show notes on my website. It's going to be in the show notes, the link that you're going to click for the call to get registered, to get signed up for the call. Or you may click the link in my bio on Instagram or Facebook and join me. Join me on July 1st, Wednesday, July 1st at 8:00 p.m. This call will happen twice a week. So it will happen on Wednesdays and it will happen again on Sunday at 8:00 p.m. And we will walk through everything there is to know about codependency or codependent traits. And then we'll learn the steps we need to take to recover from it. And let me tell you, so many of my clients, my coaching clients, my therapy clients suffer from codependency. This is like very, very, so many people have it. It's running rampant. And it's time. It's time to see it. It's time to heal it and recover from it. It's time to put the focus back on you instead of outside of you. It's time to feel good about yourself. It's time to validate yourself and to learn how to say no and to stand up for yourself and don't just go along to get along. It's time to go inside and learn to love yourself and like yourself and validate yourself. So we're not going to seek outside validation. We're also not going to seek to control what we can't control, which is everything outside of us. We're going to give up on that. But we are going to control ourselves. That's the most important thing. So this call is going to happen twice a week. If you can't make it on Wednesday, try to make it on Sunday. But we're going to have this call twice a week, every week in the month of July. I am using the Magnified Knowledge Suite. That is where the call is going to happen. But if you click the link, you can get registered. The call is $5 per call, which is a steal. I wanted to make this call super affordable, but please check it out. Join us when you can join us. If you cannot make every single call, whatever calls you can make in July, we are going to be learning about codependency, what it is, who has it, and then most importantly, how do you recover from it? And we're going to talk and share stories. You get to ask questions. I'm going to answer a lot of questions on the call, and we're going to talk about codependency. But this is something that I am seeing over and over and over. People really struggle with this people pleasing, or for men, I call it the Mr. Nice Guy syndrome. This is codependent trait. So it's time. It's time to heal from this. It's time to grow. It's time to recognize these behaviors and then heal them, like really recover from them so that we can be happy. We can get what we need and what we want and feel good about that. You don't have to feel guilty about saying no. You don't have to feel guilty about being self-interested. So click the link, check it out. If you cannot make it every week, feel free to go to Facebook or Instagram. The website is going to be there on the website, and in YouTube, we're going to have each week's link. So please click on that link. You may pay and get registered, and I will see you on Wednesday evening at 8 or Sunday evening at 8. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, stay open to love. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. If you are enjoying this podcast, please leave me a 5-star rating and review. Your ratings and reviews help me to continue to bring you more great content. Head on over to YouTube and check out the Better Love Movement channel. There's more video content there, and you can subscribe to be notified when a new video is posted. If you have a question that you would like to have answered on the podcast or in a YouTube video, please send it to me at info@betterlovemovement.com. You can also connect with me directly on the Magnify app to have your dating and relationship questions answered. That's MAGNIFI, and it's available on iOS and Android. You get your first 5 minutes for free. So give me a call and let's chat.